Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Lowe, JT, and friends. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Lowe, JT, and friends.
Lisa, Lowe, JT, and friends. Y'all ready to cook up some conversation?
Kitchen talk.
Oh, there it is. Hey.
Hey. How are you?
Working on greater. How are you?
Of course.
You know
Working
it.
on greater. You see my earrings?
Yeah. What does it say at the top?
It says legends are born in August.
Is that correct?
It is correct.
I don't know. You might have to get those checked.
It is a fact.
Wow.
It is a fact.
How does that?
Good evening. It is Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that cook.
Yes, they do. I'm so excited. I missed y'all last week. I hope y'all missed us. Hey, Cam.
Hey.
Hey,
Cam in the building.
Hey.
There she is.
Miss Tatum, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. We are in the kitchen with Kitchen Talk, and the conversations are cooking. We are so excited. I was just saying I missed everybody last week, so I was doing one of my favorite jobs in the whole wide world,
Which is?
stage management.
Oh, I saw that.
So I was super excited. I did have to bow out the kitchen. We had to close the kitchen down, but oh my God, I had so much fun. It's one of my favorite jobs. It's not without its challenges.
Right.
We were glad you were there. Okay.
Miss Tatum, were you there in the team?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I said you probably at every event.
Well, we're at every commencement. That's true.
Yeah.
Hey. How are you?
Good doctor.
Yes.
That's my girl. She gonna be graduating soon too.
I think so.
Yeah, she got to get her
I think she's finishing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did our ladies' night. I had to find a impromptu kitchen, and she opened up her kitchen to me. I was like, "Oh my God, you are the best!" Thank you, Adrienne.
Wonderful.
You know, when I think about it, it is just good to be good and nice and kind and polite to people, because you never know.
I think that's what the pandemic has shared more than anything, that, we have to be mindful of our neighbors, right? So it's not just ourselves in our house, but another reason to get vaccinated is so that, the people that you interact with, they're safe too, right?
Absolutely.
So you never know, who you might be a blessing to.
Absolutely.
But I want to get into this because this Delta variant.
Oh, thank you, Shima. Thank you. Yes.
Please don't hype her up about those earrings.
Don't be a hater, friends. Don't be a hater. So my earrings say legends are born in August.
Is your birthday in August, Doc?
It sure is.
What day?
Mondays, August the 9th.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Wow. Awesome.
That's how it go. I love it.
I guess I'm surrounded by legends.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
I stopped counting though.
Definitely. JT.
Hello, JT.
Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What's
Good.
Good.
going
How are
on? Y'all all
you?
right?
We all
I'm
right.
all
How you
right.
doing? Good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Good, good, good. So we are going to get into this. Our every now and then we do our COVID updates. I was really hoping that we could be like on the other side of this thing. But
Yeah,
we are not. I feel like we're going in the other direction.
we definitely are going in the other direction. You know, oh, but a month and a half ago, it was like, wow, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah,
So
well,
much
now
thing.
it's a train. It's a train coming at us. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in really in a bad spot right now. Yeah, we are.
And so we in two other states, California and Texas.
Texas.
Um, yep. And actually, the rates are skyrocketing across the country. Every
Oh
state
wow.
is in trouble. But there are some of us that are in worse shape than others. We are having some of the highest rates across the country for new cases. And I think Texas has us beat in hospitalizations, but that's about it.
So, in your opinion, what contributed to that?
White folks.
Huh?
Stop it.
So actually, there are a couple of things. Um, I can't underscore how much the Delta variant has impacted the spread. It is, we when we started out, we had just the regular coronavirus, COVID-19, and then in early part of the year, December, January, we had the European variant, which was 50 times more infectious than the regular COVID. And now we have the Delta variant, which is 50 times more infectious than the European variant, which was 50 times more infectious than what we started with. And so it's just it's a super spreader. I mean, it just spreads very fast. It generates a lot of virus in individuals. Um, and so that is a big reason. In addition to that, even though we got vaccines in January and, the states were able to roll them out, we were kind of, the first couple of months, 3 months, I guess, we were only able to vaccinate individuals 65 and over. But eventually it got opened up. But the fact that we haven't vaccinated as many people as we should in order to reach what they call herd immunity, it just means that virus has so many people it can spread to. And the more transmission there is, the more opportunities for it to change again. So while we're struggling with the Delta variant, there's also the Lambda variant, the Iota variant. There's another variant they've recognized in Florida they don't even have a name for yet. We don't know what's going to happen with them. Some may be worse, some may just die out. But the longer we stay in a situation like we are, the worse it's likely to get.
I don't like the
So,
way you talking right now. This is
Trust me,
beyond me. Oh
I
my
don't like
God.
it either. I don't like it. It's scary. It's frustrating. It's like we've been working so hard for the last 16 months
Mhm.
and I'm back in the middle of it again. We're back in a crisis and that's tough. That's tough.
I will
so
say
it's
that we
funny.
were able, if we're able to get to this point, we can get out of it too. But we got to do what was shared in the beginning, right? And I wanted to ask you, are those things still in place? Wear a mask, wash your hands, sanitize, areas in terms of surface areas, because this is still a respiratory virus. Is that correct? Whichever variant it gets down to.
It's transmitted in the air, so yes. So the measures that we took before will still work. And if you put the vaccine on top of that, you're really in a good spot. And the vaccine won't necessarily keep you from getting it, but it keeps you from getting really, really sick and being hospitalized and possibly dying. So that's just one more tool that we've got. I think our problem right now is that it's political. We don't have, there isn't any emergency declaration. There are no mask requirements, and we're not allowed to make any mask requirements. We're not allowed to tell people they have to be vaccinated. So from an operational standpoint, our hands are kind of tied, and I'm sitting here hoping and encouraging and imploring people to keep wearing their mask and to get vaccinated and to social distance still, even though you don't have to. So we know what we need to do. We did it before and it worked. And like I said, now we've got the vaccine on top of it, which helps, but
So
we've got to do it.
Do you think we didn't stay the course long enough?
So, like I said, it's political.
Yeah, so Shima says we need a real governor in Florida.
I was about to say that, but hey.
Yes.
Anytime
it is so crazy that all of this really got out of hand because of poor leadership, and it's staying just out of control, mostly because of poor leadership.
It's, I know the school districts are struggling, trying to figure out how I'm going to open up school. We have young children who cannot get vaccinated yet. And we've got this virus that's spreading at light speed in the community, and they can't tell them to wear a mask. So it's really a challenge for them. And I think it poses a lot of, ethical issues. And and it's really hard because for the school boards, their funding is threatened. So it's like, do we do this and really hope people wear masks and we encourage them to wear masks and give them masks? Or do we fight it, lose our funding, and I'm not even able to pay teachers and we don't have class? So it's a challenge.
I saw that recently and I thought it was ludicrous for
maybe the daycare classroom is closed now. I've heard that too.
And that's the problem right there.
Right here in Tallahassee, one of the daycares had to close.
And that's the problem. So you go back, right, as normal, and then 2 or 3 people get COVID, right? So then you have to close down, whether it's one classroom or the whole school, because, people are not following some basic guidelines,
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because I think they should have a mask mandate. But at the end of the day, you said it right, Lisa, is leadership. And leadership really starts at home. So, if you're a parent getting ready to send your child, to or in the schools, it's to your benefit. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you what to do. You already know, protect yourself, protect your babies, have them wear a mask, get them accustomed to doing it.
Yeah.
So that they know that this is not a game, I think that's the other thing. We hear of the numbers, and when this first came out, the numbers of people who got it, number of people who died, that kind of went away. So people are not, I think people are not taking it seriously because they don't see the numbers anymore. They don't hear of those stories, right? Where you had a healthy young man, a healthy young woman on one day, and then they get sick and all of a sudden they pass away. It's crazy. For him to say, I'm taking away your funding. I was like,
well, that's been the whole, we already know money runs the world. It's no way around it. It's just what it does. And so we get that if there's a shutdown, there's a problem with money and the economy. We saw that. But at the same time, are they saying that the ratio of lives that we're losing is okay as long as the money keeps flowing. That's what it sounds like.
Well, the
Well,
thing that
it's not saying a shutdown.
yeah.
They're not saying shut it down. What we're saying is we need to be more cautious and
Yeah.
protect ourselves and make it where students, faculty, staff, parents know that we need to wear a mask, right?
Yeah.
We need to kind of still keep in line with the social distancing. We need to put things in the classroom so that the kids are safe in terms of hygienic. So your
Mhm.
bathrooms have soap and you have hand sanitizer as many places as possible where there's large groups. I mean, this is not rocket science, right? So we're not saying we've learned enough to know that we don't have to shut it down.
Right.
We can work around it, even with this technology that we're using tonight. It's just another way of doing business. It doesn't mean business has to shut down. And I
Right.
think that's the reimagining that people are afraid of, right?
Yeah. See,
So
I don't think shutting
mm,
down would be effective at this point
mhm.
because there is so much anger about it, and it's not necessary because we know the social distancing, the masking, and work, and the vaccine we have in addition to what we had before. That totally, sorry about my dogs.
All right.
That totally changes the picture for us. And so if we were able to do that, it would make all the difference in the world. It really would. I don't think we need to shut down, but we do need to enforce some of those other mitigation measures on top of the vaccine, and really encouraging more people to get vaccinated. Fortunately, Black and Brown communities, we're not enough of us are vaccinated, and we need to work on that. But other than that, I think that would do it and would turn the whole course of this around.
Yeah.
So here's a question, and I'm not by any means a scientist. I loved my biology teacher. She is wonderful, but I was just in there having a good time. And my chemistry teacher, he was funny, so that was another good time. Ask me what I learned about a periodic table. I don't know.
You
But
got to do better.
I don't use that stuff. But here's the question. So is it I think I heard this, I can't remember where, but I know at one time, so when measles and mumps and things like that were first introduced, they were killing people that got it. But then once a vaccine came along, it actually kind of went up, not went away, but it stopped killing people and people don't get it as much as they used to. Or I mean, is that the whole premise of vaccine, is that it actually kind of gets rid of a virus or disease?
it doesn't necessarily get rid of it, but
Hmm.
when it does occur, if the larger number of people are vaccinated, it's got nowhere to go, so you kind of stop it in its tracks. And so we've got requirements that every school age child has to get the measles, mumps, and rubella shot.
Hmm.
We don't have big outbreaks of measles, mumps, and rubella anymore, and that
Hmm.
used to kill kids. Um, but that's what you call when you reach a point where you've got herd immunity. When you have enough
Okay.
people vaccinated that should a case come up, it's got nowhere to go, and you don't have large outbreaks. We'd like to get there with COVID-19. We're
Okay.
not
I
there yet.
do. I do remember back when I was first college age, and there was a measles outbreak, and my sister and my best friend, they had to get a booster shot. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the booster shot because I was not in school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Oh, y'all got to get the booster shot. I don't have to get it because I'm not in school." Well, I worked in a doctor's office, and
Mm-hmm.
some kids came in there with measles, and next thing I know, I got measles.
Oh, and it's
I
more
was like,
serious when you
"Oh
get
my
it when
god,
you're older.
yeah."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Really?"
was almost like the chicken pox, where they said, give it to your friends and family so that they can get it, then you don't
Yes.
get it again.
And then
So,
nobody gets it anymore.
right. They're like, well, your little brother your older brother got to give it to your little brother. So we all got it at the same time. But again, this is not new information for us. This is not new territory. And that's why I was like, we don't have to shut it down, but we do need wise counsel, and we need to use the resources that we have to say, okay, there is a better way. Unfortunately, that's not the case, which I got to stress it again, that we have to self-govern, right? And say, okay, I need to make sure that my house, my family, we're protected. We're doing the things that we need to do, even though we may not like it. We got to get outside of our comfort zone to ensure that we are putting ourselves in the best position moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard because when I heard about the school districts that are still going against the ground, I'm rooting for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It don't make sense to try to take their funding away. And I do think that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
But can they do that? Can you really do that?
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy because it's not your money, it's the people's money.
Taxpayer money.
Taxpayers' money, but the governor's the one that
that's why
has final say in the budget allocations.
Voting matters, voting counts, and it
really matters.
I still think that's a lawsuit waiting to happen, because you're taking away something that they should have the right to do.
Yeah, well, the last executive order that the last two that dealt with COVID, executive orders that the governor did literally took away all local control. Local governments are not allowed to say we're going to put in a mask requirement. Local governments are not allowed to say you have to social distance. Local governments are not allowed to say I'm putting in a vaccine requirement. And then local governments and local entities can't say I want masks in the schools, or if you do, the parents have a right to disregard it. So it took away a lot of local control. And
which is, what's so interesting about that on a federal level, if they did the same thing to the states, we would have an uproar.
Yeah, exactly.
We taking away your ability to govern.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, don't infringe on states' rights.
Correct.
Right.
But you're doing the same thing within local municipalities. It don't make sense.
Shima says, for me and my house, we are all vaccinated.
Yay! Thanks to Shima.
Yeah, I mean, it is. To me, I felt like even when this first started, and even though we had the leadership we had, I felt like this was not something that should have been individually decided, so to speak, like state by state or city by city, county by county. I felt like it was such a big deal that it should have just been kind of federal mandates that just ran down, and taken a more one position kind of leadership just to handle this crisis.
So, Lisa, are you saying we should have been united in the United States?
And if we could not be united, then the person in charge should have just been like, this is what we're doing. But you did it about other stuff, but not about something that is making people lose their lives. And so now you're doing state by state. So what gets me is you won't mandate a vaccine, but you also won't mandate masks, which means you're not doing anything to try to help curb or get rid of, eradicate COVID. It's like, it's just free for all. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not telling. It's like, it doesn't matter. And I don't understand that. In my mind, I can't understand that. I don't get it.
They're playing to individual rights, and
I don't even think it's that, Miss Tatum. It for me, it's they're playing politics with people's
Yeah.
lives. You know
Well,
what I mean? So,
that's just it. It is politics, and we're playing to the base of the right wing, and there's a very large interest there in individual privacy and individual rights. And it all of this plays right into that. And unfortunately, right now, it's to the detriment of the larger population. Um, the leadership that we had in Washington before, when this first started, wasn't interested in dealing with this. There was no real leadership from the federal level. And in fact, when they came into office, they threw out the books that they had with the pandemic plan, and they got rid of the office that was in place to respond to pandemics. So, and it was never put back in place throughout the whole course of COVID-19. So it's, it's, it, the we can't look to the leadership we had.
We
They just
cannot. It's so
they fell
sad.
down on it.
It
There
is
was,
so sad. It is so sad.
and that's
So,
why I like talking to people and answering questions if at all possible, or whenever I can, because I know not everybody trusts what they hear anymore, because a lot of the folks' hands were tied from the CDC, and some of their messaging actually got changed from what their professionals would have put out, which I think really damaged the institution. And I'm sure it will regain its status, but for right now, it's a challenge. But anytime I have an opportunity to, I really like to try to clarify things as much as possible. I'm not the end all be all by any means, but I've just been working with this since it started. And so I don't like seeing people lose their lives.
yeah,
I don't like seeing, families impacted so in such devastating ways, when there's some things that we can do. And
it's crazy because we still don't know. We know more, but we still need to learn a lot more, right?
oh,
And I
yeah.
think that's the piece where you throw out the people who've been working on this and been trying to find, solutions. To me, you just throwing out everything that they've been working on and working for. So, again, we have to really be self-governed at this point, and we have to take the lead, because we talk about voting so much on the show. We always go into the political, side, and we have dozens of guests that have come on. But now more than ever, we need to start thinking about the next election,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
The midterm, as well as the next presidential election. We need to be prepared, not when it happens. We need to be proactive, not just reactive.
yeah.
Right.
And really look at who's up there, who's making decisions that are impacting our communities.
Yeah.
What are those? It's not, because and it starts locally too.
Correct.
In every position, whether it's a school board or whether it's your local representative, state representatives, all of those make a huge difference before you even get to the federal level.
Right.
And who's in the judgeships. All of this makes a big difference. And so we can't afford as a community to be laissez-faire about it.
Yeah.
We've got to make it a point. It's important. I know when I turned 18, I was so excited to get ready to vote. I studied all the candidates, and my mother goes, well, you're not voting for any of those. I'm like, I still want to know what they're talking about, so it's just, but some people now, it's like, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
For me, I was excited when they started early voting. I'm like, hey, I'm there first day. Let me go get this done. Because it's important. And while we think sometimes I'm only one person out of 15 million or billion or whatever, however many people we have in the US, and my vote really doesn't count, your vote counts so much.
Yeah,
it really does. And it starts at home. You know,
Absolutely.
it really does. And it makes a difference. And you've got to have people who care about people, who care about our communities, who are going to do the right thing in office. Otherwise, we end up, with what we've had for the last 4 years.
Yeah. So my pastor says every now and then that you don't really have to preach a holiness sermon, that it
Mm-hmm.
comes up in every sermon. And so I kind of feel like that when we're talking on Kitchen Talk, the voting comes up because it touches so much. It touches every aspect of your life that no
Mm-hmm.
matter what we're talking about, it's going to come up.
Yeah.
So yes, it is very important because these people that we vote or not vote for,
Mm-hmm.
we vote or not vote into office, and it affects every aspect of our life. And I don't think we really think about it in that way because we just live life and don't really look at it. But what the pandemic has showed us is that leadership matters, and
Yes.
we need to be, like Fran said, proactive
Mm-hmm.
about our leadership. We absolutely do. And one
You
of
know,
the other things, oh, go ahead, France.
I was thinking of, and when you were saying, I was thinking about Doc, when you shared the miscommunication, and I think a lot of that stuff, some people were forced to say things that they probably wouldn't want to say or do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so, what are some of those things that we should be mindful of? For example, wearing the mask indoors, outdoors. It's like, okay, if you're outdoors with a large group, if you're vaccinated, wear it. If you're not, you don't have to worry about it. How do we maneuver through that?
Um, so right now, definitely wear a mask if you're indoors. I don't care whether you're vaccinated or not. Wear a mask. If you're outdoors by yourself, probably don't have to. If you're outdoors amongst other people or in a large group, wear a mask, vaccinated or not. Because, like I said, we know now that even if we're vaccinated, there is the possibility that you can still contract COVID. And we found out through some recent studies that if you do, I mean, we thought early on if you did get it, it didn't reproduce or replicate a whole lot and you weren't likely to pass it on to anybody else. Well, some recent studies from a couple of weeks ago showed that yes, you can get it and you have just as much virus in your respiratory system as somebody who's unvaccinated. So that
Wow.
means you can still pass it on. So that's why the CDC guidelines around masking have changed, and that's why they're now saying everybody wear a mask indoors. So,
So, like, okay, going to a restaurant.
yeah, I don't go there yet. I'll be honest, I don't. I mean, I'll go and pick up,
Right.
but because we still have a lot of people that are unvaccinated, the vaccination rate in the state is still under 50%. I'm not comfortable being in a situation where I know a lot of people are unmasked and they're
Right.
talking and everything. So yeah, I still don't eat out. No.
Okay, well,
I was just talking to Lisa, and Lisa,
I'll
I
be honest,
think Doc
no, it's
yeah.
but here is the thing. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of my turning points
Mm-hmm.
for getting vaccinated, was the fact that it would be harder for me to pass it on. Like my mother had not been vaccinated yet.
Mm-hmm.
And even though she's going to, actually, she went and got her first shot today. Um,
Oh, very
Oh, that's
good.
great. That's great.
but the fact that at first they were saying it's hard to pass it on if you've been vaccinated, that
Yeah.
was a key selling point for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a little disappointing to hear, well, and so, and I guess I say that this is real talk, it's kitchen talk, this is what we
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do
How do you
how
trust
do
any
you
of it?
yeah, how do you continue to try to get people vaccinated when the points that sold you on it are no longer valid?
So for me, And I've changed even the messaging I give to other people, and it's not so much get vaccinated to protect other people. It's now get vaccinated because if you do get it, you don't want to get real sick, go to the hospital, or die.
For yourself.
So that's what the vaccine does. It prevents very serious illness. It prevents hospitalization and death. Okay. So what we found out of the people that have been hospitalized that have been vaccinated, I think there's been like about 99.9% of individuals hospitalized have not been vaccinated. Okay. So everybody we're seeing in the hospitals now have not had the vaccine. Here in Tallahassee, there's over 110 individuals. I'm sure it's more now today. All but 5 are not vaccinated. So your chances of having a relatively mild course of the disease or of the infection is much greater if you have had the vaccine. I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't have time to. Okay. I don't want to get really sick. And so if the vaccine prevents that, for me, that's a good reason to go. That's a reason to get it.
I mean, I agree with that. For me, it's if you are not taking care of you first, you can't take care of nobody else, right?
Yeah,
and it goes back to what the messaging was stating earlier. It can't just, if there's 5 people in the house, 2 people getting the vaccine is not enough, right? Everybody. So Lisa, I think your mom was like the last of the Mohicans. So I think your whole crew is now.
But she's not though. So here's the thing. I have a sister who was hospitalized after getting a flu shot not too long ago, right? So her doctors will not allow her to get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to me, it's like because like you saying, the messaging at first was do it for yourself, do it for the people around you, da 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 da. And so you're thinking, so the whole house can't be vaccinated, friends.
No, for me, I rather 4 than 1 or 2, right? Because if it's 5 people in the house and 4 of you are vaccinated, that one person is very less likely to get sick. But if it's only 2 and 3 are not vaccinated, there's a high chance that those 3 will get sick. So let's limit the number, but first start with yourself individually. And that's the piece. The whole vaccine thing doesn't work until we take self responsibility, right? I have to start with me, and then it goes down to everybody else. So if I don't do it, I'm putting myself at risk. And that's again going back to the main problem that we're having. I think the messaging is still the same, although we found new research. Thank you, Doc, for that update. But I think it's still the same. We're not just doing this for your family members. It starts with you first. Yeah. Then they have to take responsibility and get vaccinated so that we could get to that herd immunity point.
Right.
So it does get back to the same messaging. The more of us that have it, the less of us that would get sick.
Yeah. And it certainly lowers that chance. And if there are 5 people in your house, Lisa, and 2 of you are vaccinated, that's good. But if 4 of you were vaccinated to protect that one person, that's better. That is the best you can do. And that's one of the reasons why you do try to get to that herd immunity, so you can protect those individuals that can't get it. I mean, you can still possibly get it infected, but your chances of being infected once you're vaccinated are still much lower than they are if you're unvaccinated. Otherwise, we'd be seeing different numbers in the hospitals. I'd be seeing 50-50. Right now, 110 people in the hospital, unvaccinated, 5 are vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers show. And again, it goes back to what we said too. Still wear a mask, still social distance. I think a lot of us have gotten lax in that as well. You know, I still use my key holder to open doors. I still sanitize. I carry a sanitizer with me. I wash my hands as often as possible. I try not to put my hands on my face. You know, I think we need to get a little bit more serious about sanitation. And I think we would really make a difference with that. We can't just say it's over, right? It's us putting in these good habits, because that's what it is. I was talking to a friend yesterday. I was like, well, you know, this is not new.
No, we've been
COVID or
washing
not
our hands
COVID,
for
we're supposed
years.
to be doing this already, right?
Yeah.
Right.
If you go into an establishment and you sit down, I was getting my hair cut, you know, you got to spray the chair down, right? You got to wipe down everything, make sure everything is clean before you do work on the next person. Same thing goes for walking into the grocery stores, wiping down the carts. I mean, that's the part of the job. You're supposed to be doing that anyways. So it's like,
Well, that they definitely weren't doing.
no,
Not
but now
not
you,
pre-COVID.
well, so now they know. So now you do it, right? I went into Walmart today. I had to run into Walmart, and I was elated because there was somebody at the door passing out a mask. Like, here's a mask, and you had to get a mask before you walked in. So I think, you know, our businesses, our schools should do the same. Listen,
Yeah.
if you
But
want to be here,
yeah, they are definitely protecting their employees because they need people to work and
correct.
not get sick.
Exactly.
So you gotta wear a mask if you come in there.
And that's
The
why I was
employees
saying,
gotta wear a mask.
Otherwise, you
They
keep
not trying to shut down because they ain't got nobody to work either.
right. You
and
can't
that's
stay in
the
business.
they got to. It's the same thing for the schools. It's not like it don't make sense. People in power, you want to make sure that your constituents are healthy, working, and making a difference. Because
Yeah.
if not, then you literally cause a shutdown that you didn't want to have in the first place.
Right.
Right.
Because that's essentially what will happen in many of these schools. The kids are gonna go back. Somebody's gonna get sick. Then a group of people are going to get sick, and then they're going to have to shut it down for 2 weeks. They'll come back. 2 weeks shut down again, come back. So that cycle is not conducive for learning, and we're already behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a chance for us to really revolutionize how we do, how we push education, how we prepare our kids for the future, and then give them some real hands-on learning right now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But we're missing the opportunity because of people not going to vote, and we didn't have the right person to vote for. It's killing me.
It's two things: not voting or not the right person. Oh my God.
Oh,
So let me ask you this, Miss Tatum. I sent you a email about a text that is going around,
Okay.
and it's talking about the Delta variant,
Mhm.
and it's saying that it doesn't live in the nasal whatever, and the swabs aren't really catching it. And is this really a kind of true one, or is this some kind of scare tactic? Us, and it starts out the same way. This is a little good information from my friend's mom who works at a hospital down south. And I have seen this at least, I've gotten this text and seen it on Facebook at least 5, 6, maybe even 10 times.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, this everybody friend.
I did see it. I did see it. I'm, I think I'll answer your question this way. We run a testing site that's open 6 days a week. We went from testing 300 people a day to now we tested today 2,600 people today alone. And we're doing nasal swabs. And I've got probably an 18% positivity rate for our rapid test and probably a 14 to 20% positivity rate on our PCRs, all from nasal swabs. So we're still finding it. And the Delta variant, it accounts for 90%, probably more now, but a couple of weeks ago, it accounted for 90% of all cases in the state of Florida. So,
Wow. It's the thing again, you trusted it when it started. Right? You know it works. So why not? Why not? Uh, you know, it's funny how the system, people look for ways to make the system work for them and not for it to work for everybody else. To put that out there like that, like it doesn't work, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. Let's catch it early. Let's find out what it is so that you can get the help.
Yeah.
Ironically, and I've heard a number of cases where, oh, I'm not doing it, I'm not getting it, and then they get sick, and then they're in the hospital, and they're okay, I'm ready to do it now. It's too late. It's too late. So let's not mess up the system. We know it works. If you feel like you need to get tested, get tested. Get the vaccine. Do the things that you already know what to do. That's probably the hardest thing for me to swallow right now. People know what needs to be done, and unfortunately, we have too many people telling them the same story that you just read. Don't do it. It's not this. It's not that. I think it's just sad.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I don't think they were saying just be careful because apparently it doesn't have the same onset of symptoms as COVID.
The Delta variant?
The Delta variant. Or I mean it's just, but how do we know,
But Lisa, think about it. It's the same people who didn't know how the first one got started.
Right.
How you just gonna tell the people this is not how it works when you're not doing the study, you're not reading any information, you're not in the lab. They said President Biden said this earlier. People have been working on this for years now. Mm-hmm. So this is not like a new study people just started. So how you just came out of, I can't even say high school, elementary school, just got your elementary school degree, and you telling a professor, you telling a doctor what works and what don't work. It don't make sense.
But I think that came too from, and it's so crazy, I think people are trying to be helpful maybe, but all of these I feel like we're getting back to the mixed messages again.
Correct.
Yeah, we are.
It's like,
yeah, it's too bad because it confuses people. And
it does.
That allows people to not do anything. And that's the worst thing we can do.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, trust your physician, trust whoever your healthcare provider is, talk to them, ask questions. And for me, it's if you have any symptoms, my one word of advice is don't assume that it's just my seasonal allergies, or don't assume it's, a summer cold or anything. If you have any of the symptoms, go get tested. Just rule that out right from the first,
I agree. What are some of the symptoms we should be looking for?
It's just about everything. We're seeing coughs, we're seeing congestion, we're seeing some people get chills and some people get a temperature or a slight fever, body aches, a lot of fatigue, headaches. And before, for me, you get a headache, it's like, take a couple of Tylenol and don't worry about it. But yeah, if it lasts more than a day, it may not just be a headache. So the symptoms for COVID are just so broad. But if you experience them, I say go get a test first. The testing site's here. It's free. Go get tested. At least rule that out first. And that way you'll know what to do after that. And it's like, okay, it's not that. I just need to rest somewhere for a while, or maybe are my allergies acting up. But I hope people will at least get tested first, so that if it is COVID, we can start isolation quickly, and that limits the number of people you might expose. So
I like the fact that now at least we know that it's not a death sentence as we thought it was from the beginning.
right.
Even if you get it, it doesn't mean you're gonna die. I mean, depending on your situation in terms of your health, that's gonna determine you getting out of it or not. But again, like we said, just having the vaccine is another shield of protection. Wearing your mask, another shield of protection. Washing your hands, another shield of protection. I think we need to again push that narrative so that we do what we were supposed to be doing, whether we had COVID or not. So, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I will be voting and I'll be wearing my mask.
I'm anxious to get back in a restaurant. I hate cooking, okay? But I'm just not there just yet. So hopefully we'll get through this period, and it will be light at the end of the tunnel and not another train.
So we had a question. Can you speak to how people experience clotting post-COVID?
Geez, we need one of the physicians on for that one. I think some people have had some problems with that. And I honestly, I can't speak to why or anything else. And I will say that because it's called the SARS-CoV coronavirus 2 virus, because it's newly in the human body. I mean, we've never had it before. We've had other coronaviruses before, but not this particular one. We're going to be learning more things about it for the next 5 and 10 years. And I think the studies right now, the work that's really being done is focused on immediate, prevent loss of life, and find some effective treatments, and get the vaccines, perfected. But eventually we're going to get to the point where we're going to take the time to really study the impact it's had. And I think we're going to find out a whole lot of information about how serious this was, because this is the only virus I know of that has affected so many different organ systems. It's amazing. I've never seen anything behave like this before. So I think we're going to find out a lot of things and a lot of damage that it may possibly have done for people, in the years to come. So I don't have an answer about the blood clots, but I'm sure we'll continue to hear more about it.
As you were saying that, I was thinking, that's why they say we're practicing medicine, we're practicing law, right? Because it's always learning something new. That's why I had to laugh at that last statement, Lisa. Like you're not even close to knowing.
Because I want to know. I can't help it. But I get that. I had that same question about something else recently, and somebody said exactly what you said. It's called the practice of medicine. I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess that means I ain't getting no answers today.
No. We're still learning. They're still learning. They're still growing, and
I get that, and I guess in your mind, you know this, but your emotion says, "Look, this is why I did this," and now y'all saying this ain't what it do, or it's kind of like you feel a little lied to or a little betrayed, just in that moment. I mean, your logical mind knows that, nothing is a sure thing, but your feelings is like, wait a minute.
Nah, I'm back to the same. Like, I got to take care of me first, right? Yeah. And that's what they say when you on an airplane.
I get it.
Something go wrong, you got to put the oxygen mask on you first, because you can't help nobody if you can't breathe, right? So
I trust me, I get it. I get it all day long, but you just feel like, especially I guess because maybe because I was on the fence about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't, I wasn't one of those people, oh, as soon as it come out or as soon as my age group, I'm getting it, da da da. It took me a minute to get to it. And so the reasons that I came up with in my mind to make me comfortable with getting it, and now you saying those are changing, and it's like, hold on.
I still think, Lisa, you're
I'm not,
doing it for the right. Your
You did.
mindset is in the right place.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
again, let's go back to the plane analogy. They have that aisle that you have to sit at if there's an emergency. They ask you, can you help somebody, right?
yeah,
So that they can get out, and people take it because they can get the extra leg space. But
right.
you are that person. You want to help somebody.
Yeah.
Right. You want to make sure that everybody gets off the plane. At the same time, you can't do that if you're not getting that oxygen to yourself.
Yeah.
So going to the COVID piece, yes, you want to make sure that your family and friends are safe, but if you're not safe, you put them at risk anyways. So again, I think the messaging kind of still fits, right? We all just need to get it so that we can kind of limit ourselves. But more importantly, we're not putting ourselves in a death type scenario, right? So you may get it, but you'll get through it. Versus if you get it, that's it.
True. That is true. That is true. But if you had it and you made it through, then what's the point of getting the vaccine?
Because you might get it again.
That's
you
rhetorical.
Might get it
I'm
again,
just saying.
And it won't be the same.
You can get it again.
That's what I was saying.
Well, I can get it again now, and I've been vaccinated.
But it won't be the same.
It won't be the same, and you'll not likely be hospitalized or possibly die. So
correct.
I like those odds. I can understand your feeling of being let down. I was one of those persons that was like all excited about being in the emergency aisle, leg room. I don't even have long legs. But then I found out, there's no place to put my purse under the seat in front of me because there isn't one. I was frustrated. So I got it. So all of my stuff had to go in the overhead bin.
In the overhead, right.
So it's pros and cons to it all, huh? You get something, but you can't have it. Why can't I have it all? Why?
Can't have it all. And it's what Doc said earlier. This is Delta. It may go into Zeta, Eta, at Lambda, Iota, Kappa, all the way down.
You know what? Really?
All the way down to Omega.
That's what you're gonna do?
Listen,
that's what you're gonna do, France.
I'm trying to keep myself in the best position possible till I get to that Omega stage, right? So let's do what we can, family. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your community, even if it means going against the grain. And this is not a new place for African Americans. So I don't know. We've been down this aisle before, and that's a whole nother kitchen talk. Right? The civil rights, there's a whole nother talk, but we got to definitely, look out for each other, look out for ourselves and our community, regardless of what the messaging is telling us to do. So that would be my final thoughts for today. Put your mask on and get vaccinated.
Yeah, they haven't been playing them commercials like they was before. With now we vaccinated, everybody all masked off. They done stopped playing them. They want y'all. That was the whole thing, get vaccinated and then we could all come back together. I ain't seen them lately.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, I think we can come back together, but it's gonna be different, right? It's gonna be different, and we gotta be okay with it.
The point was to get rid of the mask,
and we could have.
That was the whole selling attractive piece to getting vaccinated, and now y'all saying get vaccinated, but keep that mask on.
Well, not because enough people didn't get vaccinated. We could have gotten to that point, but people didn't want to follow the protocol.
Yeah,
follow the directions.
Okay. Listen. So, Miss Tatum, tell them one
Yes.
more time they need to get vaccinated. Oh, and you guys have moved, so let us know about that.
Oh, yes. Please get vaccinated. It really will. It can make such a big difference, and we need all of our community members here. So get vaccinated. The vaccine station, we've moved out of Lawson Center because school's getting ready to start, and there's other events and activities there. We are in the Brick House at 674 Gamble Street, and it's right across the street from the village. And they're there. They're ready to vaccinate everybody. We still have all 3 vaccines. So, and the hours and dates haven't changed. It's open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So come and get your shots, and we'll be really excited to see you.
And that is for the Tallahassee people and the surrounding areas. Please check with the health department to see where you can get vaccinated if you are not in Leon County. We're still testing at Bragg Stadium. Is that correct?
That's correct. For right
Okay.
now, we're still at Bragg. I'll be there until football season starts. So
All right. So you can go get a COVID test. I think I'm going to go since I was at graduation. I probably need to slide by there and make sure I'm all right. I feel all right, but let me make sure I'm all right. Um, but people really, it's really important. We have to do what we can to get rid of Corona 19, COVID-19. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of the masks, but I
Yeah,
have to
I'm
keep
gonna do the
wearing them.
same. I'm gonna before
Yeah,
school start, and I think all professionals. That's a good thing. All educators to go by, get
get
tested
tested.
before
Yeah,
you go back into the classroom, working with the
yeah.
kids face to face, if that's the case. So
Oh,
you're safe.
tell me about this too. I'm sorry, France.
No, you're
We
good.
talked about this on Saturday when we talked a little bit. Ms. Tatum, tell me about or tell our audience if you have COVID-19 and you know you have COVID-19 and you go around some people, what is that called?
I don't know. I think if you really shouldn't.
I was gonna call it assault.
Please.
It's called assault.
Well, true.
That's
If
what it's
the health
called.
department has put you in isolation, it can be a misdemeanor. Okay,
Yep.
so there could be some consequences to it, but it's really, really important because that you isolate and not expose other people, because you never know how that other person might react. You don't know what the
Absolutely.
underlying health conditions are, so you don't want to be, we don't want to hurt anybody.
Correct.
So if you
Absolutely.
are positive and you know it, stay home until your 10 days are up.
I remember when we used to work in offices and it was just the flu, and they would
Yes,
say, "Stay home if you sick."
yes, yes,
I would tell my students, "Please don't come to class if you sick. I don't want to get sick." So, and this is way past that. It's
yeah. If you're
so
sick and
yeah,
something's going on, go get
yeah,
tested and stay home.
absolutely. All right, just before we go, we have our summer subscriber campaign that is still going. And you can I think the flyer is there, Jamal, somewhere. There it is. Yay. So you have a chance to win a $50 gift card and a guest appearance on Kitchen Talk. Here is the change. There's one change. I moved the date to August the 26th because that is the week that I am officially celebrating my birthday. So I would love to draw your name on my birthday party week. I celebrate all month, as y'all can see by my earrings. But listen, that's gonna be the drawing date. So if you spread the word, listen, $50 gift card, guest appearance on Kitchen Talk. There's also one other prize. You can take it down, Jamal. Thank you. There's also one other prize given to us by my auntie V, who runs Jack and Dot taxes. She has donated a free tax preparation and filing up to $300. So you can also have a chance to win that as well. While I celebrate my birthday all month long. Y'all see my earrings? All month long.
Happy birthday.
Legends, they are born in August. I just thought I'd remind y'all of that. Ain't that right, Miss Tatum?
You're right. I love it.
Happy birthday to you on Monday.
Happy birthday.
Yes, yes. And so listen, if you are watching us on Facebook, hit that like button. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. We are so appreciative to everybody that had so many comments today. We appreciate that. Hopefully we have helped you in some way and sparked the conversation, because that is what we are here for. Kitchen Talk, CTC.
Conversations that cook.
And that is what they do. So we are going to see you next week. Listen, our topic for next week. I know our topic for next week already, friends. Guess what it is?
Can't guess. You got to tell me.
Critical race theory.
Oh, I'm gonna
Okay.
be there.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire. So you might not want to miss next week.
Yeah.
So join us next week, same time, same station. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, we'll be right here next Thursday at 9:00. Thank you, Miss Tatum, so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Thanks,
friends.
everybody.
Thank you, Jamal. Thank you, JT. I don't know, you disappeared on me, but thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.